He was humanity's last hope. A triple S rank powerhouse who took the Demon King down with him. Yet he awakens 10 years in the past, stuck in his younger body, which had been a punching bag for bullies. But this time, he brought back more than just his memories. He unlocked the gluttony system. While other heroes grind for years, he simply consumes a demon boss and keeps it as his trump card. The arrogant student council sees him as an untouchable genius with a pathetic, dank score. But when our guy steps up, he unleashes a purgatorial force so intense, it literally fries the testing machine. Registering a potential the system can't even calculate. The name is Return of the Devourer. And this is just the beginning. The year is 2167, and humanity has officially reached the end of the line. As the demon race has conquered every last inch of the planet, it's a total game over, and our guy is the last one standing. As a triple S rank lightning assassin, he spent the last 7 years watching demon kings turn the world into their personal playground. One of these overgrown monsters is currently hovering over him, delivering a classic villain monologue and calling the human race pathetic. The Demon King decides it's time to turn our hero into a midday snack to power up his army. As the demon launches a crimson lightning attack, our hero doesn't just stand there like a statue. He's thinking about his sister, his master, and every single person he lost to these beasts. He decides that even if it's his final act, he's taking this monster down with him. He activates a scale terminus art, and suddenly the Demon King realizes he's stuck in place. Our hero starts glowing like a neon sign, and with a final apology to his family for not being strong enough, he unleashes one last blast. He defeats the Demon King, who spends his final moments completely shocked that a mere human actually took him out. Just as everything fades, our hero wishes he could go back in time to fix it all. Suddenly, he wakes up in a hospital bed with a bruised nose and a massive headache. He looks out the window at a city that isn't on fire and realizes he's pulled off the ultimate pro-gamer move by returning 10 years into the past. While he's processing his sudden return to 2157, a system window pops up, informing him that the power of gluttony integration is complete. This is 3 years before the actual apocalypse begins. He remembers a demon king named Ruff was the one who originally opened the gates to the underworld, and if he can just take out that first boss, he can save the world. He stares at the game-like interface, wondering why he has a status window when he used to rely on nothing but raw strength. And in this world, only 1 in 10,000 people actually awakens. And our guy is currently at a university for potential heroes. The problem is, in his original past, he was a total underdog who failed to awaken for 4 years. He was at the bottom of the pecking order and basically served as a human punching bag. He checks his new stats and realizes he's still a lightning assassin, but he's actually inherited his strength and skills from the future. Before he can test out his new abilities, his university roommate walks in. This 4-eyed sidekick was a low-tier awakener who fell almost immediately during the original invasion. The roommate is shocked to see our hero looking so well after the heavy beating he took yesterday. He even mentions that our guide seems stronger, which earns him a nostalgic smile because our hero is just happy to see a living person who isn't trying to consume him. The glasses-wearing roommate reminds him that the rank test is tomorrow. As they walk through the training grounds, our hero realizes he needs to level up fast. But the government and the big guilds have a monopoly on all the monster zones. Most students are stuck at their rank, but our hero knows he's already leagues above his roommate. Their walk is rudely interrupted when a ball hits the roommate right in the face. A group of 4 bullies shows up, led by a guy who clearly thinks he's the main character of a high school drama. The 4-eyed roommate is terrified and offers to buy them drinks just for the crime of existing. Our hero, however, decides the era of being a victim is officially over. He tells his roommate that it's not his fault and that these bullies are the ones who should be. Apologizing, the scene flashes back to a time when our guy was basically a professional doormat for a group of low-tier thugs with zero imagination. These guys thought it was the height of comedy to shove his face into the water and treat him like a literal ragdoll, while the four-eyed sidekick could only stand there, trembling in terror and begging them to stop. The lead bully just laughed it off. He claimed he was just being a good Samaritan, helping our hero awaken his powers through some aggressive stimulation. It was a total nightmare that ended with our hero unconscious in the dirt while the bullies walked away, bored with their favorite toy. Our boy realizes in this moment that pure malice isn't confined to the demon realms. It is very much alive and well in the hearts of despicable humans too. Back in the present, that same low-rent villain is still running his mouth. But our hero has officially run out of patience for this repeat performance. When the bully demands to know what our boy just said, he doesn't even blink. He calmly informs the overgrown brat that they are not the ones in the wrong, and that the bullies should be practicing their apologies. This is apparently the most hilarious joke the bully has ever heard. This guy is only relevant because his older brother is the student council president, and he clearly thinks that connection gives him a free pass to be a menace. He winds up a punch he thinks will end the conversation, but our lightning lord blocks it like he's swatting a fly. The crowd of onlookers is absolutely losing their minds because seeing the school's favorite punching bag actually fight back wasn't on anyone's bingo card for the day. The bully is fuming, calling our hero a pathetic, unawakened weakling. But our boy is busy checking his system notifications as if he's reading a grocery list. He activates his electric assassin job, and suddenly, the air is crackling with enough energy to power a small city. The low-rent villain tries to save face by activating a skill called Indestructible Demon Armor, which sounds far more impressive than it looks. It's basically the magical equivalent of wearing a cardboard box and calling yourself a tank. He lunges for a finishing blow, but our hero is already 10 steps ahead, moving like a blur, with a single punch to the face. Our lightning lord sends the bully flying across the training grounds like a discarded bag on a windy day. The four-eyed roommate is standing there with his jaw on the floor, wondering if he accidentally walked into a different manhwa. The bully tries to act tough from his new spot in the dirt, screaming at his lackey to do something. But the backup squad is too busy shaking in their boots. They can see the raw power radiating from our boy, and they want no part of this beatdown. Our hero grabs the leader by the arm, calls him utterly pathetic, and delivers another blow that sends the guy straight through a brick wall. As the rest of the gang scatters like roaches when the lights flip on, our hero takes a moment to analyze his performance. He realizes that even at level 1, his future self stats are more than enough to handle these nobodies who peaked in high school. However, there is one small problem that's bothering him. He just wiped the floor with a high-profile bully, but his experience bar hasn't moved a single inch. He stares at his hand and conjures a blade of pure, shimmering lightning. He begins to wonder if the only way to actually level up in this world is to start ending opponents, instead of just taking names. The look in his eyes is cold enough to freeze anything solid, and the terrified onlookers are starting to realize that the school's biggest loser might just be their new worst nightmare. It turns out that if you want to grow in this game, you might just have to get your hands dirty. Just as our lightning lord is about to permanently delete the low-rent villain from the server, a blonde girl with a short haircut decides to play the hero of justice. She's the vice president of the student council, and she informs him that this is a school, not a fight club. She thinks the punishment he dealt out is already more than enough and promises that the gang won't lay a finger on him again. She clearly thinks she's doing our boy a huge favor, but he just tosses the bully aside like yesterday's trash. He walks away without a single word to her, knowing that people like this only stop when they're truly terrified. A polite request from the student council isn't going to change their nature. Meanwhile, the rest of the gang is hiding behind a wall, trembling, because they realized our hero's expression was genuinely bone-chilling. Back at the dorms, the four-eyed sidekick is acting like a personal hype man. He's screaming to their other roommates that the school's favorite target has finally awakened as a super strong lightning assassin. He's bragging about how our boy ground the head bully into the dirt. But the other two roommates aren't buying it. One of them is a nucleus mage who's too busy flexing his own mediocre muscles, while the other is a tech nerd who thinks the sidekick's brain has turned to mush. The mage roommate is convinced he's the only real combat class in the room, especially since our hero is out running laps instead of showing off. He thinks he's a big deal, just because he might get into a school club, totally unaware that the guy he's calling a weakling could probably end his career with a single sneeze. The scene shifts to a demon lair, where the actual heavy hitters are training. The student council president, the older brother of the bully our boy just folded, steps out of the zone covered in monster ichor. His bandaged-up little brother is waiting there, crying about how he was humiliated in front of everyone and begging for a revenge tour. The president agrees to handle it, which shows that the whole family is clearly a bit of a mess. Later, over a fancy steak dinner, the blonde vice president points out that the president has a total monopoly on the school's talent. She mentions that normal students have no way to catch up to him because he controls all access to the monster zones, which is exactly how the elites like to keep things. While the rich kids are eating expensive meat, our boy is out in the pouring rain with 100 kilograms of weight strapped to his back. He knows that his physical body needs to be a temple of steel if he wants to handle the massive power from his future self. He is focused on the year 2160, which is when the demon king named Ruff is scheduled to start the apocalypse and vanquish his only living relative. He is determined to vanquish that monster before the gates of the underworld can even open. In the middle of his intense workout, his sister calls him. She is full of energy, talking about a competition she entered and how she is going to solve their rent problems with the prize money. Our hero is practically vibrating with emotion just hearing her voice again, especially since he watched her fade away in his original life. He promises her that everything is fine, but inside he is vowing to fall into the deepest abyss if it means keeping her safe this time around. After finishing his midnight marathon, our boy finally heads back to the dorm for a shower and some sleep. He is still worried about how he is going to level up when the big guilds control all the monster layers. But as soon as he closes his eyes, a red system window starts booting up. He doesn't wake up in his bed the next morning. Instead, he finds himself standing in front of a massive and terrifying tower that looks like it belongs in another dimension. It looks like the gluttony system is finally ready to show him exactly how he is going to get his revenge. He barely has time to wonder if he's sleepwalking through a demon lair before a group of bone fiends decides to try and make him their afternoon snack. Our boy treats these unranked trash mobs like a light warm-up exercise, deleting them effortlessly and watching his level jump straight to 2. He realizes this place is basically a private solo raid where every stat point he gains increases by 5, which is a total pro gamer dream come true. When a boss monster tries to jump him from behind, our hero doesn't even break a sweat or lose his cool. He takes the beast down in one go, hitting level 3 and collecting a pile of loot that would make any treasure hunter jealous. And this is where things get truly broken. As he stares at the boss's remains, he activates the true power of gluttony. A surge of red lightning devours the monster and turns it into a card, giving our boy a permanent frost physique with cold resistance. He realizes he has basically stolen the power of a demon king for himself. While every other person on the planet is stuck with one class for life, our boy is now a walking cheat code who can possess infinite classes just by consuming his enemies. It's like a buffet where the food gives you superpowers instead of a stomachache. Just as he's feeling himself, a massive wave of pressure hits him like a freight train. A hooded figure, with more bandages than a mummy, is chilling at the base of the tower and, actually, knows our hero's name. This guy is an S-rank boss, and his stats are so high, they're basically crushing our boy into the dirt just by existing. Even though the gap in power is wider than a canyon, the hooded weirdo keeps holding back, knocking our hero down over and over instead of finishing the job. He gives our boy a ridiculous choice. Stay here and guard this demonic tower like a glorified bouncer or get crushed into a pulp. Naturally, our hero chooses violence. He analyzes the monster's movements with surgical precision and notices a tiny 0.4-second windup before every swing. He uses that opening to dodge the blade and drives his lightning blade straight through the boss's core. The paralysis effect kicks in, giving him just enough time to activate his lightning god speed and move 10 times faster toward a nearby light source. He thinks he is making a grand escape, but as he passes through the light, it vanishes into thin air like a bad magic trick. The monster, who is apparently a high-ranking warrior from Purgatory, laughs off the attack and informs our boy that the exit was just a cruel illusion. This place isn't even a demon lair. It's something much worse. The hooded figure seems more impressed than angry, noting that our boy can analyze despair and find a glimmer of hope, even when he is completely outmatched. It looks like our hero didn't find a training ground. He found a high-security prison, and the warden is now a certified fan of his work. Our guy's quickly figuring out that escaping this place will take more than just a cool-looking plan. Our guy is having a huge epiphany as he stares down the monster before him. He recalls the final fight from his past life, realizing the demon king he faced would swap high-rank forms, like he was changing clothes for a photo shoot. Turns out this bandaged warrior was just one of those forms, which means the power of gluttony has essentially turned our hero's body into a high-security vault for demonic souls. This purgatory boss is surprisingly sharp, realizing our hero is the only one who can wield the tower's power without going insane. The monster decides to hand over the keys to the kingdom, or in this case, a S rank key to the demonic tower. He explains that he is a traitor to the demon cause because the demon king wiped out his entire race simply to satisfy their own greed. He tells our lightning lord to devour every demon sealed in the tower, using them as fuel to reach the world's absolute peak. Our guy accepts the power, which instantly launches him to level 10 and grants him a set of dual swords and a high-tier Star Warrior card. He vows to carry on the monster's will, a pretty intense promise to make before his morning coffee. He wakes up back in his dorm room, thinking it might have all been a fever dream, until he checks his system window and sees his level 10 stats staring back. His wounds have vanished, his loot's in his inventory, and he's officially done playing nice. Of course, the moment is ruined by his nucleus mage roommate, who's back on his usual ego trip. This guy's acting like a total diva because he's a middle-tier rank, which he thinks is a massive flex. He lectures our hero on the massive gap between tiers, claiming he could take on 10 low rankers at once. It's honestly embarrassing watching someone be so proud of being slightly less mediocre than everyone else. The group heads to the university for the official rank test, and the air is thick with nerves and cheap cologne. The smug roommate is still running his mouth when yesterday's gang of bullies makes a surprise appearance. The roommate tries to hide, but the moment the bullies spot our hero, they don't start a fight. Instead, they literally bow to the pavement and shout that their big brother has arrived. The smug roommate looks like his brain just suffered a critical error, completely unable to process why the school's favorite punching bag is suddenly being treated like a legendary crime boss. Just as the roommate starts to suspect our guy is a big deal, a new budget villain enters the chat. This guy's a student council officer, basically the president's personal lapdog. He's a deer rank powerhouse who fancies himself a professional tracker, claiming he can smell malice. He walks right up to our hero, telling him he smells like a permanent bottom feeder who has no right to be in the same room as the elite. Our guy just stands there looking bored because after facing down an S-rank purgatory warrior, a student council officer with a power complex isn't exactly a threat to him. He's just waiting for the moment he can show these amateurs what a real monster looks like. Our guy stands his ground as the student council officer decides to play the intimidation game. This guy basically the president's personal lapdog, claims he can smell the scent of a permanent bottom feeder on our hero. Instead of being intimidated, our lightning lord just looks him in the eye and asks if he's a dog, since he's so obsessed with sniffing people. The lapdog is about to lose it and throw a punch. But the student council president himself steps in, playing the part of the mature leader. He admits his subordinate was in the wrong and tells his lapdog to stand down, though he gives our hero a look that says he's no threat at all. The golden boy thinks our hero is just a lucky commoner who landed a few good hits, and he definitely doesn't see them as being on the same level. The testing ceremony officially kicks off, with the big shots watching from a high-rise building as if surveying their kingdom. The blonde vice president is there with the university's principal, and while everyone else is focused on the elites, she admits she's actually waiting to see what our guy can do. The test uses a specially made demon heart that absorbs an awakener's energy, turning it into data for all to see. It's basically a high-tech way of showing everyone how mediocre they are compared to the top-tier talent. First up from the dorm is the nucleus mage roommate, the one who was flexing and talking big just yesterday. He was so convinced he was a powerhouse, but the machine reveals he is still stuck at a mid-tier rank. He looks like he wants to cry because his dream of being a top-tier student just went up in smoke in front of the whole school. The rest of the roommates don't fare much better as they all clock in with bottom-tier potential that basically guarantees they will be background characters for the rest of the story. The mood shifts when the actual talents start appearing. The president's follower managed to hit a low-tier deer rank, which earns him plenty of cheers from the crowd. But the real main event is the student council president. He is the heir to a massive guild, and he decides to hold back just a little of his power to save the real show for graduation. Even while holding back, he smashes the school record by hitting a high-tier dank with ES rank. Potential. The crowd goes absolutely wild, and the professors are already planning to report him to the state as a national treasure. It is basically a one-man show, and the golden boy is soaking up every bit of the attention. Just as the hype for the president reaches a fever pitch, the announcer calls the next student to the stage. It is finally time for our boy to show everyone that a lightning assassin from the future doesn't play by the same rules as these schoolyard elites. The blonde vice president is leaning in to watch, and the principal is shocked she's interested in a nobody. The rest of the school is about to find out that the bottom feeder they have been mocking is about to break their precious machine and ruin their perfect little hierarchy. Our boy walks up to the heart, and the air feels like it is about to ignite. As our lightning lord prepares to take his turn at the test, the president's personal follower decides to run his mouth one last time. He tells our boy to at least try to bring a tiny bit of honor to his loser-filled dorm and begs him not to show up with another embarrassing low-rank result. He laughs about how a room full of bottom-tier trash is the ultimate joke of the university and claims that even showing up to the graduation assessment would be a total disgrace for someone of his pathetic status. The four-eyed sidekick isn't having any of it and shouts that our hero is about to blow the narrow little minds wide open. He's basically our boy's the biggest fan at this point, even if he doesn't fully understand the monster he is cheering for. Our boy steps into the testing chamber where a giant, pulsating demon heart is waiting to judge his worth. This machine is supposed to be the ultimate authority on power. But the moment our hero looks at it with those glowing red eyes, the heart looks like it wants to file for early retirement. He knows that in this era, the only path to a real future is joining a top-tier guild. And the graduation assessment is the only stage that matters. The #1 team gets a direct ticket to the Imperial Guild, which is basically the elite club for the 1% of awakeners. While he is inside the chamber, the Golden Boy president is outside scouting for his dream team of deer ranks, fully convinced that the graduation trophy already has his name engraved on it. He's acting like he has already won the lottery before even buying a ticket. Back in the testing booth, our hero decides it is time to give the machine a reason to panic. He starts by activating his base level 10 form, and the machine immediately registers a Heidi rank. The crowd outside is stunned, and the silence is so thick you could cut it with a knife. But our boy is just getting warmed up and has no intention of stopping there. He switches to his infernal sovereign class and the rank suddenly jumps to a mitts. The machine starts having a literal meltdown. Sparks flying everywhere as it tries to process a power level it was never designed to handle. The professors are scratching their heads, wondering if the system is caught in a massive glitch or if the apocalypse started early. Then our lightning lord decides to stop playing around and switches to his full purgatory form. A massive, terrifying vortex literally forms in the sky outside the building, making everyone in the courtyard think the world is ending right then and there. The system starts, screaming about a triple S potential that is way beyond its maximum load, before the demon heart literally burns out and goes dark from the sheer pressure of his presence. The professors rush in and find the machine fried to a crisp. But, of course, they assume it just suffered from a sudden case of being old and overworked. They simply cannot wrap their tiny brains around the fact that a student just broke their most expensive toy. But our hero is the one who gets the last laugh. He uses his gluttony power to secretly devour the inert demon heart, gaining a new skill that lets him see the real power levels of everyone around him, like he has X-ray vision for talent. He steps outside and scans the school's golden boy, only to realize that the president is actually a mid-tier rank who has been hiding his own power, all along to look like a humble genius. To our hero, the top student in the school is mediocre at best and barely worth a second glance. The crony tries to pin the blame on our guy for the broken machine, acting like he personally ruined his afternoon schedule. He's screaming about compensation and taking responsibility. But our hero is 1 second away from zapping him quiet for good. Just as the air crackles with energy, the class president steps in and does the unexpected. He stops his follower and actually invites our hero to join his elite squad for the graduation exam. He claims he's aiming for the highest score ever and thinks it's a favor. But he just invited a shark into his tiny, pathetic pond. The Golden Boy president actually has the nerve to personally invite our hero to his elite squad. For the final assessment, the other students are floored while the crony's sweating bullets. He knows if our guy joins, someone's getting kicked out. The crony is obviously ticked off, but pretends he's doing our guy a favor by welcoming him. His phony welcome is cut short when our lightning user gives him a blank stare and flicks his hand off his shoulder like lint. Our hero tells the Golden Boy he's just not interested, leaving the entire courtyard in total shock. When the crony starts screaming about how amazing their team is, our hero just calls him noisy and tells them both to get lost before walking away like a boss. Up on the roof, the blonde vice president and the principal are watching the drama unfold like it's their favorite reality show. The old man is a little bummed that two powerhouses aren't teaming up. But the VP knows this rejection is basically a declaration of war. Down below, the Golden Boy fakes a humble smile, but he's secretly fuming. He admits that even with a tiny chance the test was right, he can't let anyone threaten his #1 spot. He tells his crony that any lessons he decides to teach our hero are none of his business, which is basically villain speak for giving the green light to a surprise attack. The crony is thrilled to hear our hero left school early to head home. He thinks he's catching our guy off guard, but our hero is already planning the ultimate raid. He recalls from his past life how a top guild was overwhelmed at a specific demon lair, which is how the Demon King managed to descend and bring ruin to the world. Our guy knows exactly where that first boss is hiding, but he needs a mountain of cash to launch his counterattack. He stops by a monster exchange to sell some loot, but the owner's a total jerk who thinks our guy is just some broke student wasting his time. The owner is so arrogant he just hands our hero off to a pink-haired newbie to get rid of him. Our guy gets $18,000 for some low-grade items, enough to cover rent for now. Then he drops a bombshell by pulling out his massive, fair-rank purgatory swords. The arrogant seller scoffs, claiming he has worked there for years and has never seen a single A-ranked weapon, let alone one from a high-tier dungeon. Suddenly, the shop's big boss shows up, green hair and all, and nearly has a heart attack when he sees the blades. He instantly shuts the seller up, revealing they aren't just high-grade junk, but actual S-rank purgatory equipment. The mood in the shop flips instantly. The manager treats our hero like royalty and ushers him to the VIP room for serious business. Our hero smirks. His plan to lure out the big fish is working perfectly. The arrogant clerk is left standing there, looking like a total fool as our guy prepares to make more in one afternoon than he'll see in a lifetime. Our lightning user steps into the Monster Exchange's VIP room with the confidence of someone who already owns the place. The green-haired manager and the pink-haired employee are practically falling over themselves to make him comfortable. The manager asks how much our hero wants for the legendary weapon, and our guy coolly asks for a $1 million loan. The manager nearly has a meltdown right there in his expensive chair. He has to explain that an S-rank weapon is worth tens of millions and would cause a stampede of hunters if it hit the open market. He's looking at our guy like he's either a runaway prince or a total lunatic for lowballing himself. But our hero is playing the long game. He has no intention of actually giving up his gear. He explains he just wants to use the sword as collateral for a loan, promising to pay it back in 1 month with 10% interest. The manager is a sharp businessman and realizes he is dealing with a total prodigy. He correctly guesses that our boy is planning to use the prize money from the graduation exam tour. Settle the debt. Instead of being a greedy corporate shark, the manager offers an even better deal. He gives our hero $1.5 million in cash on the spot with absolutely zero interest. He's basically buying a front row seat to our hero's future career, proving he's much smarter than the arrogant shopkeeper who tried to kick our boy out earlier. Before he walks out the door, our hero decides to drop one final flex that leaves the room in total silence. He reveals that he actually has a second S-rank sword tucked away that is identical to the first one. The manager looks like he's about to pass out because he realizes he's standing in the presence of a literal monster in human form. Meanwhile, the pink-haired employee gets an immediate promotion to supervisor just for having enough brain cells to treat our hero with basic respect. The arrogant shopkeeper who mocked our boy earlier is left crying in a corner over his lost commission, while our hero walks out with a bank account that is officially overflowing with cash. He takes a taxi to the bus terminal, looking out the window and thinking back to the tragedy of his original timeline. He remembers how his sister had to abandon her dreams of art school because they were too poor to even keep the lights on. He is determined to make sure she never has to choose between her passion and a meal ever again. When the little drama queen finally steps off the bus, she is exactly as loud and energetic as he remembers. She immediately starts roasting him for standing at the entrance instead of the exit, and starts complaining about how they are broke again after paying this month's rent. She has absolutely no idea that her brother is now a high-ranking assassin with enough money to buy the entire apartment complex. Our hero is so overwhelmed with emotion and seeing her alive that he pulls her into a massive and bone-crushing hug. She finds the whole thing incredibly weird and asks if he finally got rejected by a girl or if he has actually lost his mind. He does not care how much she teases him because he's just happy to see her breathing and healthy. As they head home together, our hero makes a silent vow to fall into the deepest pits of hell if it means keeping her safe from the apocalypse he has already seen. However, the heartwarming family reunion is about to be rudely interrupted by some budget villains. The student council lapdog and his gang of thugs are currently hiding in the shadows of a dark alleyway like a bunch of persistent roaches. They are waiting to ambush our boy on his way home to teach him a lesson about hierarchy. They're acting like they have the upper hand, but they are completely oblivious to the fact that they are about to bring a toothpick to a lightning fight. Our boy is about to show them that his sense of malice is a lot sharper than theirs. The student council's favorite lapdog is currently lurking in a dark alley with a group of thugs who clearly have too much free time and not enough brain cells. He is fuming because our boy had the audacity to exist and be stronger than him during the test. The plan is to beat our hero so badly that he cannot even make it to the graduation exam in 2 weeks. This guy thinks he's a top-tier assassin because he has a fancy title, but he is mostly just a top-tier annoyance with a knife he does not know how to use. He is literally shaking with jealousy over a guy he still tries to call a bottom feeder, which is peak delusional behavior if you ask me. Meanwhile, our hero is walking home with his savage little sister, who is busy giving him a life lesson on not being so emotional. She thinks he's just stressed about the exam and tells him to pull himself together like a real man. She has absolutely no clue that her big brother is now a walking natural disaster who could level the entire neighborhood if he felt like it. She even jokes that he is getting old and starting his midlife crises early because he is being so sentimental and weirdly nice to her. Our boy just smiles through the roasting because he knows she's just trying to be supportive in her own aggressive, sisterly way. The thugs spot our girl and decided that an alley with no cameras is the perfect place for a crime. They think they're being sneaky, but our lightning lord smells their trashy intentions from a mile away. Instead of letting his sister see the garbage being taken out, he pulls the ultimate big brother move and puts his earphones on her. He tells her to listen to a specific song on repeat while he takes care of a little business. She is confused but decides to vibe to the music, totally unaware of the chaos that is about to happen, literally 2 inches behind her back, while the savage little sister is listening to a song about stars and fate. Our boy is busy ending the careers of these budget villains. He is genuinely offended that they decided to ruin his first family reunion in 7 years. He starts handing out free dental appointments with his fists, treating the gang like literal bugs that need to be squashed into the pavement. The music continues to echo in our girl's ears, while her brother is cracking skulls in the shadows and protecting her like she is the most precious thing in the world. He's moving so fast that the thugs probably think they are being hit by a localized thunderstorm. The laptop finally realizes he is in way over his head and tries one last desperate attack, claiming he's the strongest assassin in the school. It goes exactly as well as you would expect, which is to say it is a complete disaster. Our hero punches him square in the face twice, sending his teeth on a solo vacation and breaking his spirit along with his jaw. He towers over the broken budget villain with a terrifying glare, asking if he was speaking a foreign language when he told them to never bother him again. It turns out, but when a lightning assassin tells you to stay away, you should probably listen if you want to keep your face in one piece. Our boy is officially done playing games with these schoolyard bullies, and he is ready to take his sister home for a peaceful dinner. We're back in the alleyway where the student council's favorite lapdog is currently rethinking every life choice that led him to this moment. Our boy has just finished turning the guy's ribs into a jigsaw puzzle, but he isn't done delivering the message. He looks down at the broken mess of a human with a menacing stare, so cold it could freeze boiling water, and asks the guy if he needs a translator for the phrase, "Never bother me again." The ambusher is lying there with 2 broken legs, trying to figure out how a supposed bottom-tier student just hit him with the force of a freight train. He realizes terrifyingly late that the rumors were true, and our hero is actually a monster in disguise. But before he can pass out from the pain, our boy holds a blade to his throat and demands absolute silence. He whispers that if this trash or any of his little friends ever try to breathe in his sister's direction again, he will hunt them down one by one. And he isn't speaking metaphorically. He greases the guy's lip just to make sure the point sticks, promising to permanently erase them from existence if they test him. He drops the loser back into the dirt and walks away, leaving the lapdog terrified, not just by the beating, but by the sheer, overwhelming hostility rolling off a teenager. Meanwhile, our savage little sister is still standing there with her headphones on, listening to a song about migrating birds and cloudy skies. The music is making her emotional, and she starts tearing up because she suddenly realizes her big brother feels incredibly lonely. Like he's carrying the weight of 100 tragedies. She turns around to yell at him for taking the prank too far. But instead of a crime scene, she finds our boy standing there with a small fancy box. He smiles like he didn't just completely demolish 3 people and hands her the gift. Inside is a shiny gold holographic art pin. Our girl immediately recognizes it as the latest style from Draco, which costs over 10 grand. She asks where on earth he got that kind of cash, but our hero just smiles. In his last life, poverty forced her to give up her dreams. But in this life, he is going to make sure she has everything she ever wanted. The scene shifts to their apartment where the little artist is happily drawing 3D light sculptures in the air. While our boy slurps down some noodles, she is thrilled with the toy, but immediately switches into responsible mode, asking how they are going to pay rent if he keeps spending money like a billionaire. Our boy casually drops the bomb that he already paid the rent for the entire year. He tries to lie and says he started a small business with a friend, but let's be real. Our hero has maxed out his combat stats and left his lying skills at level 0. His sister knows he is being incredibly suspicious, but seeing him smile for the first time in years stops her from interrogating him further. She puts a hand on his shoulder and tells him to just be careful, accepting the win for the family. While the siblings are having a wholesome moment, the villains are busy being dramatic in a dark room full of aquariums. The student council president is staring at a fish tank while receiving the report that his lapdog has 60% of his bones fractured. The blonde vice president notes that the lackey will definitely miss the graduation exam, but the golden boy doesn't care. He says his team is better off without dead weight, proving once again that his loyalty is as fake as his public persona. A director with a questionable mustache enters the room to stir the pot. He confirms that our boy is officially registered as a C rank, which makes him the only student in the entire school ranked higher than the president. He warns the golden boy that a VIP from the Alliance is coming to watch the exam, and if he embarrasses the school by losing to a nobody, his position might be given to someone else. The president, however, is consumed by his own arrogance, scoffing at the idea and claiming he hasn't even used a fraction of his true power. He stares at a shark in the tank devouring a smaller fish, vowing to show everyone who the real predator is on exam day. It's a classic villain monologue, but he seems to be thoroughly enjoying himself. Back at the dorms, our guy finishes a casual 100-kilometer run with weights as if it were a light evening stroll. He's running the numbers in his head, planning to win the Millennium Prize at graduation to pay back his loan to Kevin. He knows he needs to level up a few more times before the big day, so he decides to finally test out the mysterious key he received from the system. He summons the SS S-ranked Time Raft key, the only item capable of unlocking the gates of the Tower of Darkness. He stands before the ominous door in his dream dimension, ready to find out if his other classes are as overpowered as his current one. He pushes the gates open and steps into the unknown, ready to grind. Quick pause. If you're enjoying the story so far, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the algorithm. Done. Awesome. Let's get back to it. Our hero steps through the gate and immediately regrets everything. He hasn't walked into a treasure room, but into a physics nightmare called fallen stars. The gravity here is cranked up to 10 times the normal limit, which means just standing feels like carrying a car on his back. He realizes he can only use about 30% of his strength, which isn't great, considering a phantom lion is currently charging at him with dinner on its mind. He tries to rely on his lightning assassin class, thinking speed will save him. But in this crushing gravity, he's no lightning bolt. He's just a sluggish target. He dodges, but his attacks are failing. His paralysis skills are useless, and the lion takes a nasty bite out of his arm. Our hero realizes that trying to be fast in a gravity chamber is a rookie mistake, so he decides to switch tactics. He swaps to his purgatory Rakshas form. If he can't be fast, he's going to be heavy. This warrior class triples his strength and quadruples his stamina, turning him into a tank. He realizes that in a high-gravity environment, downward force is his best friend. He pins the lion to the floor and unleashes a punch that uses gravity to amplify its impact. 60-fold. He smashes the beast so hard the ground shatters, earning himself a level up and a shiny new bone. Our guy stands there panting, thinking he just defeated the floor boss. He's feeling pretty good about himself until the dust settles and he sees 5 more lions staring at him. The system didn't give him a Devour option because that wasn't a boss. That was just a minion. He realizes too late that the Purgatory Tower isn't a training ground. It's a torture chamber. The lions swarm him, tearing him to pieces as the narration reminds him that pain is the only true teacher here. He jolts awake in his dorm room screaming, drenched in sweat. The physical wounds are gone, but the phantom pain of being torn apart lingers. He understands now that there are no shortcuts to power. He has to walk through fire to get it. The scene shifts to the university auditorium, where the villains are busy plotting in broad daylight. The mustache-swirling director is on stage, announcing that the rules for the graduation exam have changed. Apparently, some VIPs from the Guild Alliance are watching, so they need to make the show interesting. The new rule is that every team needs at least 5 members, and one of them must be a high wire rank or above. The students are chatting, wondering if this is just for entertainment. But then the rank list appears on their devices, and this is where the sabotage happens. The director has officially cooked the books. Our hero checks his status and sees that he's been listed as a low rank. The crowd immediately starts murmuring. They all saw him shatter the testing machine, but because a digital screen now says he's weak, they instantly believe it. The students start gossiping that the machine must have been faulty after all, and that our hero is radioactive. His glasses-wearing roommate is confused, but the rest of the class is already writing our boy off. They figure nobody will want to carry dead weight through the exam, especially now that he's been blacklisted. They even laugh, saying he must be regretting his rejection of the president's offer, now that he's back at the bottom. Up on the stage, the director smirks. He is the student council president's uncle, and he decided to teach his disappointing nephew's rival a lesson in bureaucracy. He thinks he has checkmated our hero by making sure he can't even form a team to qualify for the exam. He believes he's a genius manipulator, but he has no idea he just poked a sleeping dragon. The auditorium has descended into absolute chaos. It looks less like a prestigious academic gathering and more like a Black Friday sale where the only prize is the student council president's approval. Students are practically climbing over each other, screaming offers that range from pathetic to concerning. One guy is begging to be the team's healer, another is promising to carry the luggage, and one particularly desperate soul literally offers to be the president's arendic. It is humiliating. It is tragic. And the president is soaking up every second of it like a lizard on a warm rock. Meanwhile, in the sad corner of the room, our boy and his 3 roommates are experiencing the exact opposite energy. They are radioactive. The glasses-wearing roommate is furiously tapping on his calculator, running the numbers again and again, hoping that maybe math will change just for them. But the reality is brutal. They are 1 member short. And with our hero's rank falsified to Loy, nobody with a working brain cell wants to join their sinking ship. Just when the vibe couldn't get any worse, a group of 4 guys strolls over. But they aren't here to offer a helping hand. They're here to poach. The leader of this little clique ignores the roommates entirely and looks straight at our boy, telling him to dump the trash and join a real team. It is a classic scumbag move, expecting our hero to sell out his friends for a better grade. But before our boy can even open his mouth to roast them, his large roommate steps up like a brick wall. He tells the poachers to get lost, declaring that their dorm has a pact. They ride together, they fall together. It is a beautiful moment of loyalty that makes the student council's plastic alliances look even cheaper. Our boy watches the director smirking on stage and finally connects the dots. The director shares a surname with the president. This isn't just bad luck. It is a full-blown nepotism conspiracy designed specifically to fail him. He realizes that trying to follow the rules is a waste of time because the game is rigged. So, he decides to flip the board. He starts preparing to issue a duel challenge, planning to physically beat the president in front of everyone to bypass the team requirement. Entirely, violence is always an option, but just as he is about to unleash the thunder, the doors to the plot twist swing open. The blonde vice president, the Ice Queen herself, steps forward. Her voice cuts through the noise like a knife as she loudly asks if our boys' team still needs a member. The entire hall goes dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. The Golden Boy president looks like he just swallowed a lemon. He cannot comprehend why the elite exchange student would reject his super team to join the loser squad. The director immediately starts sweating. He rushes to the microphone, stuttering that she is an exchange student and therefore ineligible to bail out the trash. He thinks he has won, but suddenly the principal materializes out of thin air. The old man plays the role of the benevolent grandfather, nodding along with the rules. But then he traps the director in a verbal corner. He loudly questions if excluding students is really fair for the school's reputation, staring at the director with a look that says, "I know what you did." Cornered by his boss in the public eye, the director crumbles. To save his own skin, he is forced to announce a special exception. He declares that for this year, only teams with fewer than 5 members or low ranks can participate. He tries to frame it as an act of generosity, but everyone knows he just got checkmated. The team is officially registered, and our hero is named the captain. The roommates let out a collective sigh of relief, thinking the nightmare is over and they can just pick an easy dungeon to survive. But they forgot who their captain is. The screen changes to the dungeon selection phase. While other teams are carefully debating their options, our boy locks in his choice instantly. He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't ask for a vote. He just clicks. The roommates look up at the screen and the color drains from their faces. The glasses guy starts screaming, asking if our boy has lost his mind. The rest of the hall gasps in horror. Our hero just stares at the screen with a calm smile, while his friends realize they have just been signed up for a difficulty level that shouldn't even exist. The graduation battle examination is finally here, and it is the first time these students are stepping into a real dungeon instead of playing pretend. In a classroom, the rules are simple but brutal. Scoring is a mathematical headache where clearing the floor gets you 10 points. But for every monster left alive, the instructors deduct a point from your final grade. The big money is in the boss fight, which is worth a massive 20 points. But you have to be fast because the clock is always ticking. If the team takes longer than an hour, the system starts stripping away points every 5 minutes like a high-interest loan. To make things even more competitive, each dungeon rank comes with a score multiplier. Choosing a safe F-rank dungeon maxes out at 75 points, while the tougher a rank can net you a clean 100. The ultimate goal for everyone is a golden ticket into the Imperial Guild and a 1 million yuan prize for the club's MVP. The current all-time record is 90 points, held by a legendary former student who now runs the most powerful guild in the country. Most students are whispering that you need a team of high-tier heavy hitters just to make it in. Your rank. So they're assuming the Golden Boy president is the only one who could even dream of touching that record. But while everyone is still debating their safety options, a notification pings across the hall. Our boy has already locked in his choice, and the entire room falls into a stunned silence. He didn't just pick a hard dungeon. He selected a D-rank challenge that has literally never been cleared by a student. The school is collectively clutching its pearls, with people wondering if our boy accidentally slipped on the keyboard or if he's just having a very public meltdown. His 4-eyed sidekick is currently vibrating with enough anxiety to power a small village, grabbing our hero and asking if he's completely lost his mind. The rest of the team is equally horrified, wondering how they ended up on a do-or-die mission led by a madman. One teammate is even checking the fine print to see if it's too late to quit the team and save his own skin. But the chaos is just getting started. Seeing our hero's bold move, the student council president decides he can't be outdone in the department of being a total show-off. He locks his team into a D-ranked dungeon as well, sending the crowd into a frenzy. To the rest of the students, our boys' team looks like a group of desperate nobodies who are just hunting for attention. They're convinced the team will fall apart before they even reach the dungeon entrance, especially since our hero's squad was basically cobbled together from the bottom of the barrel. However, the four-eyed sidekick has a sudden change of heart. He looks at our boy and realizes he's radiating an aura of pure confidence that was never there before. He decides that since they've survived 4 years of being the school's favorite punching bags, he's going to stick with our hero until the very end. Even the arrogant mage roommate, who still thinks he's the top dog of the dorm, decides to go all out and join the madness since they're graduating anyway. Our Lightning Lord gives his team a rare moment of sincerity, apologizing for dragging them into a perilous trap just to secure his own MVP status. But he promises they're aiming for the top spot. This leads to a spicy face-off with the student council president, who informs our hero that there can only be one strongest student in this school. The blonde vice president watches the tension from the sidelines, noting that the war between the underdog and the golden boy is officially out in the open. Up in the observation deck, the principal and the vice president are having a serious chat about our boy's overconfidence. Even with a 3x multiplier and a potential max score of 150, the difficulty spike of a D rank is basically a vertical wall. The principal is skeptical, believing it's impossible for a group of low-tier students to bridge that power gap in the 17 days left before the exam, while everyone else is busy using the school's fancy combat simulators. Our boy has his team out in the dirt doing the most miserable workout imaginable. They're doing shuttle runs, sprints, and carrying heavy logs like they're training for a triathlon instead of a magic battle. The four-eyed sidekick is out of breath and wondering why they aren't practicing their elemental powers, but our hero shuts that down quickly. He explains that simulators are just fancy video games and that when the fear of a real monster hits you like a flood, your brain will forget every theory you ever learned. He's training their physical instincts so their bodies can react faster than their thoughts. He knows that the elites have spent their lives in private dungeons, while nobodies like them were kept on the outside looking in. For our boy, this exam is not just a grade. It's a chance to smash through the social barrier and finally put the privileged students in their place. With 15 days left until the exam starts, our boy is spending his nights in the Dream Tower getting a masterclass in pain from the Starfall Barons. These high-tier jaguars are currently using him as a personal stress ball. But even while he's being shoved back across the floor, he keeps swinging as if his future depends on it, because it actually does. 10 days before the big event, the rest of the team is finally feeling the heat. Our hero is leading them through a training session that looks less like school and more like a military recruitment montage. Sprinting in front with a backpack heavy enough to sink a ship, his roommates are trailing behind him. They're in a state where their eyeballs are practically sweating from the sheer exhaustion of trying to keep up, while our boy returns to the tower to turn more monsters into experience. The Golden Boy president is out in a standard dungeon doing his own version of a warm-up. He's busy deleting a group of mushroom monsters, looking very pleased with himself for hitting the easiest targets in the book. 5 days before the deadline, the training has gone full-on late-night fitness infomercial. Our hero is casually knocking out one-handed push-ups with a mountain of weights on his back. And even the roommates have upgraded from whining to actually putting in the work. By the time there are only 2 days left, our hero has officially hit level 16, evolving into a high-tier assassin. After spending his final nights training tigers into expensive rugs, as the sun rises on June 17, 2157, our boy stares at the horizon and declares that the real battle is finally starting. The graduation combat exam officially kicks off with a tiny escort drone buzzing around like a caffeinated fly to announce the rules. Our hero and his team show up looking like a completely different group of people, appearing all buffed up and shiny with muscles that clearly have their own muscles now. While they check their gear, the heavy hitters of the hero world start arriving in style. The school principal is currently playing the proud host, greeting a man with cool glasses and a smoking habit, who happens to be the co-founder of the Imperial Guild and the student council president's father, proving that the family business is basically being better than everyone else. The students are absolutely losing their minds as the VIPs roll in. But the real showstopper is a man with fiery red hair named Carl Kendish. He is the vice chairman of the Guild Alliance. A man so important that most people only see him in history books or on a high-definition news broadcast. The fact that he showed up to a student exam is the equivalent of a Hollywood Alistial showing up to a kindergarten play. He is joined by Secretary General Sue, a woman with a sharp ponytail and glasses who looks like she has zero patience for incompetence. While the students are vibrating with excitement at the thought of being noticed by the Guild Alliance, the VIPs head into the observation room to watch the chaos unfold on a wall of monitors. The director is back on screen, practically glowing as he explains the stats to the guests. Out of 28 teams, the vast majority have chosen the safe F-rank dungeons because they actually value their well-being. Only 3 teams were brave enough for a rank, and a grand total of 2 teams, including our Heroes Squad and the Golden Boys group, decided to dive into a D-ranked nightmare. Secretary General Sue is immediately skeptical, pointing out that D-rank layers are considered dangerous, even for professional guilds. She asks if the students were properly warned that they are basically walking into an impossible challenge. But the director just brushes it off. He explains that while an F-rank boss is a struggle for these kids, the wine dungeons are a completely different brand of suffering. In an A-rank layer, every single normal mob is as strong as an F-rank boss. We see a group of students in an I-rank dungeon currently trembling in front of some terrifying stag beetle spiders, realizing that they have made a massive tactical error. The director reassures everyone that there are safety measures in place, including teleportation wristbands for anyone who wants to quit and Imperial Guild personnel standing by to intervene. He's secretly grinning, waiting to see how long the talented D-rank teams last before they start. Crying for help, the scene shifts to the Cloud Forest Summit, a D-rank lair that looks like a deceptively beautiful trap. Our heroes team is immediately greeted by a ghost bat monkey, a cloud-type monster that specializes in dive bombing with extreme aerial speed. It looks creepy enough to give a horror movie protagonist nightmares, and the 4-eyed sidekick is already wondering what he did to deserve this. Our boy doesn't skip a beat, shouting for the team to move just as the monster launches a high-speed attack. Thanks to those weeks of miserable stamina training, the team actually manages to dodge the strike, leaving them in a state of pure shock that they are still in one piece. But while they're busy celebrating their survival, our Lightning Lord decides to end the suspense. In a blur of motion, he moves through the trees and deletes 3 D-rank monsters in an instant. The rest of the team can only stand there with their jaws on the floor, watching our hero handle high-level threats like he's just clearing out a few annoying houseflies after casually deleting a few monsters. Our hero takes a moment to check on his team and deliver a reality check that tastes like pure salt. He informs them that their current strength is barely enough to handle a paper cut, so they should probably focus on staying on their feet while he handles the heavy lifting. Before they can even argue, our boy is back in motion, turning the cave into a showcase of his power while his teammates are left standing there like confused NPCs. The group's self-proclaimed leader is having a full-blown existential crisis as he watches this unfold, realizing that those miserable training sessions weren't for the hero's benefit, but was really a rescue op to keep the rest of them from becoming monster chow. It's a tough pill to swallow for the guy who thought he was top dog in the dorm, and he's now painfully realizing he's being carried to graduation by a human cheat code, as more ghosted bat monkeys swarm our boy. He clears them out with the cold efficiency you'd expect from a battle-hardened veteran. Not a student. The fire user watches his teammate move and realizes the rumors from other students weren't just hype. Our hero doesn't look like a graduate at all. He looks like someone who's spent a lifetime turning nightmares into memories. The leader's ego is officially shattered, and he's grinding his teeth as he realizes just how far he's been left behind. But the pity party has to wait because a monkey decides to sneak up from behind and join the conversation. One of the other teammates shouts a warning, but the dorm leader finally grows a spine and intercepts the creature with a blast of fire. He decides right then and there that they can't just stand around looking like decorative furniture, while our hero does all the work. After all, this is their graduation assessment too. Inspired by this sudden burst of teamwork, the rest of the squad jumps into action. The resident florist tries to trap the monster with a vine lock, but the monkey is apparently not a fan of gardening and breaks free instantly, leaving the vine guy looking completely shocked. The glasses-wearing genius steps up next, launching a frost breeze to slow the monster's roll and calling for a combo attack. It's a full-on group project now as they layer their skills together, combining the frost and the vines to finally pin the beast down. The fire guy sees his opening and starts unloading his nuclear mage flame bullets like he's trying to win a prize at a carnival. He's sweating buckets and shouting that the monster is way too tanky for his liking, but he eventually decides to go for broke. He gathers every last drop of energy for a massive final flame bullet that looks like it has a personal vendetta against the monkey. A drone hovering nearby chimes in with a cheerful congratulations, confirming they actually managed to take down one tough monster. The three teammates collapse onto the ground, looking like they just finished a marathon through a war zone, but they are absolutely beaming with pride. They've actually survived a high-level encounter, and the fire guy immediately looks over to our hero to brag, claiming the takedown was a piece of cake, even though he looks completely wiped out. Our boy just gives them a genuine smile and a good job playing the proud parent role perfectly. The drone announces that every single threat in the cave has been neutralized, which sends the control room into a state of collective confusion. The director is staring at the screens, wondering how a group of supposedly F-tier students with zero combat experience managed to take down monsters way above their pay grade. While the student council president's father is sitting there in a silent, grumpy mood, the principal is grinning like he just won the lottery. Even the mysterious S-rank warden sitting in the back is finally paying attention, noting that our boy's performance is off the charts and that he looks remarkably like an old acquaintance from his past. Thanks for sticking with me to the end. If you dug this recap, smash that like button and drop your favorite moment in the comments. I'll see you in the next video for more madness. Peace.